Spaz has been working overtime for over a week now, so we're going to play a fun game called Can Spaz Stay Awake through this Raw review. What's going on, everybody? It's your buddy, it's your pal Spaz Phoenix, the YWC Reality Check, and even though I'm very, very tired, as I admitted in the little intro thing where I usually try to say something a lot more clever, yeah, this was Raw. This was the post-Survivor Series Raw. Let me just say, any of you that are mad about the Sheamus deal that went down at Survivor Series, I will say one thing. It's all your fault. It is. The people in the YWC, IWC wrestling community in general that exaggerate things to the fullest extent and bitch about how predictable the WWE is and it's only going to go one way. It's Cena 2.0. It's going to be Roman Reigns. We can't stand Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns is the absolute worst. There's nothing worse than Roman Reigns becoming WWE World Heavyweight Champion. You dug your own grave on that one, didn't you? Oh, yes. The rest of the show was fun. You guys know I don't review pay-per-views, but the rest of the show was fine. The typical naysayers and haters, and you know who they are out there. They're trying to bury the show, etc., etc., etc. And, you know, it's getting cliche at this point. It's getting past the point of cliche where, you know, if you really believed what you were saying, you wouldn't be watching the show, so fuck off. That's about the end of that. But we go into Raw tonight, and I go into Raw tonight much like I went into Raw after WrestleMania, after the whole Daniel Bryan 18 seconds thing, and ironically, it's Sheamus once again. Not so much that I'm looking forward to Sheamus as our world champion, because I don't want it any more than anybody else. You guys listened to my preview that I did with Guapo. I said the problem with the WWE World title pitch is we still got Money in the Bank. Sheamus has Money in the Bank, and nobody wants Sheamus to be the WWE World Heavyweight Champion. Now, if it was back in the day, when we had the two titles, which you guys know I don't agree with, give him the world title, you know, the number 2 title over on SmackDown, when we had the 2 brands, 2 titles, no problem. The main hood ornament title of the company, no. I think it's funny that Triple H brought Sheamus along, their workout buddies, etc. And as Sheamus has ascended, no pun intended, to the ascension, he brought his buddies up with him, which we'll talk about later on. Stephanie and McMahon and Triple H come out. Stephanie has a speech about, you know, people taking opportunities, whatever. She's very pontificative in her thing. Triple H mocks Roman Reigns for rejecting the opportunity he gave him twice. He introduces Sheamus, who brags for a little while amongst the "you look stupid" chants, and he says, you know who looks stupid is Roman Reigns, who ascended to the top. He gives him a little bit of props. He made it all the way through, fought through it the right way, obeyed his morals, fought to the mountaintop, and then kicked them off, and it's all great. The "you look stupid" chants get louder and louder and louder. Holds up his belt and says, "Who looks stupid now?" And it's fucking true. Roman Reigns comes out to actually pretty decent Roman Reigns chances. "I want my rematch tonight." He mocks Triple H. Triple H and he have a standoff. It's kind of funny, because he will face Sheamus for the world title, and Sheamus will be an afterthought. And his focus will be on Triple H. It's kind of like WrestleMania 27, when the match was John Cena versus The Miz for the title. Miz was the champion. Cena was focused on The Rock. Miz, the champion, was an afterthought. Sheamus, the champion, will be an afterthought. Punishing Sheamus will be Roman Reigns' way of punishing Triple H. I think it's great that, you know, Sheamus is the champion. Nobody wants him to be the champion, so as a champion, he's an afterthought. Whatever. He mocks Triple H. They have a standoff. You're not going to have... Sorry, guys, my glasses are doing a thing. My chair is doing a thing. You guys know how it goes. There's a sneak attack by Rusev and a brogue kick by Sheamus. Triple H says you're definitely not getting your world title shot tonight, but you will be getting it at TLC in 3 weeks in a TLC match, which I'm not looking forward to at all. But then he announces, furthermore, another match that I'm not really that looking forward to, which is Roman Reigns versus Rusev, which is our main event tonight. Alright, so that's that. We replay Taker, Kane, Wyatt's highlights from last night. I think it's really cool that the two that ended up facing Kane and Undertaker at the pay-per-view were Wyatt and Harper, because you figured it would either be the tag team, which is Harper and Rowan, or it would be the main guy, and which is Bray Wyatt, and Braun Strowman, the new guy. Because you look at the Wyatts, and people are going to think I'm crazy when I say this, the Wyatts are kind of like DX. You got a main eventer, or sorry, potentially, you got a main eventer, a mid-carder, and a tag team. You know, Triple H, X-Pac, Outlaws. In this case, you have Wyatt, Strowman, Rowan, and Harper. So I think it's funny that they broke up who is the typical tag team in the Wyatt family, stuck Harper, who's a lot better than Rowan, let's be real, Rowan is the jobber, and stuck him with his leader. If I recall correctly, people that are better up on their NXT history than I am, originally the Wyatt family was just Bray Wyatt, and then it was just Bray Wyatt and Luke Harper, was it not? If I'm wrong on that, if it was Eric Rowan first, please correct me down in the box below. Like I say, very foggy, very tired. Promo from the Wyatts about how, you know, basically creepy Bray Wyatt version of we're down but we're not out. They turn their attention to the Dudleys, and we have the Wyatts versus the Dudleys on Raw. For reasons. The Wyatts being, once again, Wyatt and Harper versus the Dudleys. Luke tackles Bubba to start the match. Both men trade punches and chops, and Luke grabs at his face and rakes at the eyes. Corner splash and a big boot by Bubba. Double team flapjack by the Dudleys, and an inverted 3D send us into commercial break. It's basically a back suplex into a neck breaker. You know, the fans yell out 3D because it's similar, so I guess for the purpose of what team we're talking about, you could call it a modified 3D, but it's really not, and you know it's not going to end the match. So coming back from commercial break, we have Bray and Devon trading punches, a double mudhole stomp by Wyatt and Harper. Wyatt rides a nerve hold on Devon for a long-ass time, it has to be said. Vertical suplex by Bray, but he misses the senton. Back body drop and a flip-flop and fly by Bubba Ray Dudley. But out of nowhere, and this is going to become a theme for the night, Tornado Lariat by Harper gets the win for the Wyatts. Full Nelson Slam on Devon by Rowan as he enters the ring. The standing hug choke thing by Strowman on Bubba, which does look pretty impressive. Braun Strowman and Bubba Ray Dudley standing face to face is a pretty impressive thing. It's not quite what I want to see, which is Bubba Ray Dudley one-on-one with Kevin Owens, but we'll save that for another day. Sister Abigail on Devon, and that's how we end the segment. We see a video package, 25 years on The Undertaker, and this is where we start beating this over the head like a nail that's already fully in the wood. This is the same video package that we saw on the pre-show, on the pay-per-view last night, lots of times. So yeah, that's a thing. Sasha Banks versus Becky Lynch. They announced that as we go to commercial break, and it just puts a big smile on my face. Team Bad's out there, which means I gotta put up with Naomi, so that's a couple strikes on the match right there, is it not? Collar and elbow tie-up, and Becky tosses Sasha. That's what I'm... tosses Sasha Banks into the corner. Knockdown and mounted punches by Sasha. Double knee drop in the corner by Sasha. Sasha chokes on the second rope, transitioning into a mudhole stomp, and then back to the choke, complete with a cheap shot by Tamina on the outside. Surfboard stretch with a post by Sasha, boot and a hangman by Becky, and multiple uppercuts. Rolling clothesline slamming, and a nice, I have to say this, a nice exploder suplex by Becky Lynch. Disarmored by Becky, but Naomi pulls Sasha to the ropes, and a quick roll-up gets the win for Sasha Banks. Sasha wanks. I'm fucking tired. Sasha wanks. Sasha can wank me, but that's another story for another day. Sasha Banks deserves to not have a faction. She deserves to get a win in this match on her own in a better fashion than this. I like Becky Lynch. I want good things for Becky Lynch. I really, really do. You guys, anybody that's been watching my videos for a long time knows that. But, and it's a big but, Sasha Banks is the one that everybody wants to see. And Sasha Banks is the one that's really quietly in the background taking the Divas Revolution by storm. Is she not? I mean, during the Divas in the Divas Championship match last night at Survivor Series, it was Charlotte and it was Paige, who are both great. The only loud chants you heard in the entire match were, "We want Sasha Banks." So, that's a thing. Speaking of Paige and Charlotte, we go to Paige in the back with some footage from Survivor Series, which I love, because I pointed this out on Twitter, and I got reamed for it. hard. So Paige exposes the video of how Charlotte cheated to win her championship. She had Paige in the figure 8, which is the modified figure 4, because she is Baby Flair, and her torso, her body slipped onto the bottom ropes. Now, anybody that has been watching wrestling for a long time knows that if you are in a submission hold, being near the ropes, touching the ropes, using the ropes, or putting your body through the ropes, should break it. The referee should have broken it off. It works both ways. It's not just the person that's having it done. I had this conversation with one of the guys from the British Fist tonight while we were watching Raw, and I said, no, it's not just if you touch, if the rope is here, okay. If this is the rope, there's a field that goes, it's an imaginary line from the rope to the mat. If you break the field, you don't have to touch the rope, but you're out of the ring. It's a thing. I actually, as a joke, I didn't think I would actually get an answer. I basically tweeted that to Jimmy Corderas, and you can see, if you guys follow me on Twitter, at Spaz Phoenix, I actually did get a response to that, and Jimmy Corderas backed me up on that. Now, that's just two people's opinion. That doesn't make it gospel, but Jimmy Corderas, one of the more respected referees in the WWE history, so I've got a little bit of something on my side that way. But it's good, because I saw it last night, and it's like, she's really awkwardly placing herself under the rope. So clearly this is going to be a continuing story, which I don't mind, because Paige versus Charlotte, even though it's not the matchup that I want to see Paige versus Becky, I want to see Paige versus Sasha. Charlotte has the personality of a thimble, other than being Baby Flair, so all that withstanding, she's a great athlete, so it's all messed up and wonderful, but we're going to get this at least one more time at TLC. If I wanted to throw all my wishes into a hat, let's just say Divas ladder match. Let's just do that. I mean, Sasha Banks and Bayley showed us that you can do an Iron Man. We're not going to get Divas hitting each other over the head with chairs. We're not going to get something like that just yet, but Divas ladder match could be a decent little thing. If they're going to let Bayley, or is it Bayley or is it Sasha Banks, one of them anyway, do the poisoned reverse Rana from the top rope, then I'm sure they can handle a couple of ladder bumps. That's just me. So we go on. There's going to be a match tonight on Raw, a rematch, because Paige never lost her #1 contendership because of Charlotte's cheating. We're going to get a match later on down the line. Sentences are not working right now. New Day comes out, and I don't have very many notes for this because they're in Nashville, which is, you know, like the capital of the world for country music. I could take or leave country music, as most of you know. They come out, and they are riding little wooden unicorns, and they're dressed up like cowboys, and fucking props to Kofi Kingston, got all his dreads laced up out the front of his head to look like a unicorn horn. It's all good. They make fun of country music, and they talk about how they're going to do an open challenge. The Dragons come out, the Usos come out, and the New Day immediately go temper tantrum and say, you know, this was supposed to be about us, it wasn't supposed to be about you, so the open challenge is canceled. New Day back out, or say try to back out, but they get owned 4-on-3 by the Usos and the Lucha Dragons. If you don't see where that's going, you're blind, or this is the first wrestling show you've ever seen. We got some shit that I'm going to skip, to be perfectly honest with you. Mark Henry versus Neville was awkward and really served no purpose other than to remind us that Mark Henry has a job. Cosmic Wasteland versus Goldust and Primetime Players was an average 6-man messy brawl. The babyfaces win. Obviously, we're going to get Goldust and Stardust later on down the line. I need to do something, guys. Hold on one second, please. Sorry, talk amongst yourselves for a second. Goldust and Stardust is going to happen somewhere later on down the line now that Goldust is back. Alberto Del Rio and Zeb Coulter come out for the State of the Mex-American address. They've come to assure us that Mex-America is not a failure. Any new country, as we all know, experiences growing pains. We all know what the state of America is. They start shitting on America. Zeb Coulter compares America to the Titanic, which is kind of funny. They call the fans social media haters, and because of their hate, the borders of of Mex America are now closed. Swagger comes out. He talks down to Zeb for turning down on the USA. Sorry. He talks down to Zeb for turning on the United States of America and turning on all the fans. Calls him an old, bitter, out-of-touch old man. He has a brief standoff with Alberto Del Rio before Alberto Del Rio decides discretion is the better part of valor, and he leaves. Most people don't like this. I do. And because it makes 100% sense. These guys have fought before. These guys have fought for these types of reasons before. These guys have fought over this title before. They have a history with each other. They have a history with Zeb Coulter. This match makes sense, whether you want to admit it or not. I'm just saying. Paige versus Charlotte rematch for the Divas Championship is by far the best thing that happened on Raw tonight. I'll tell you that right now. I'll try to go through this because it's quite long and quite involved. Hard collar and elbow tie-up and a slap exchange to start. Charlotte throws Paige's face into the mat. I don't care who does it. I don't even care whether it's a Divas match or a tag team match or a guys match or whatever. When you grab somebody and they sort of take a step backwards and just throw their face into the mat like it's a fucking basketball, it's impressive. It's not complicated. You don't have to think very hard about the move. Literally, you've had your face thrown into the mat. It's good. Slap takedown and a front face lock by Charlotte. Armbar by Charlotte. Paige stalls a lot on the outside, basically walking around the apron and screaming in the referee's face every time he tells her to get back into the ring. A cravat with knee lifts by Charlotte, which is nice, and a Flair-style knee drop because she's not Baby Flair. No, not at all. Figure 4 headlock by Charlotte, and then she goes into that thing that she did on NXT all the time. And I call it the rolling headlock slam because that's kind of what it is. She has her in the figure 4 headlock, which is basically the figure 4 on a head instead of a leg. It's kind of self-explanatory. But she rolls through, and as she rolls her body through into a body roll, she brings the other person with them by their head and slams them. But she's able to roll it through and keep doing it. It's impressive. You know, the tall, lean body type that Charlotte has is she's built to do the maneuver. The person having it done to them has to participate equally, obviously. But I think it's really unique, and I don't think there's a lot of other divas in the Divas division other than Charlotte that can do it, quite frankly. So good for her for that. Paige pulls Charlotte off the top rope. Charlotte goes to the top rope for a top rope something, and basically Charlotte sweeps the leg. But instead of just crumpling down to the mat, she falls backwards so that the top of her back or neck or head or something whiplashes off the top. Nice little addition, nice little minute detail there, as opposed to just generically falling off the top rope. Mudhole stomp by Paige, and she locks in a modified STF. Locks the legs and just really bends Charlotte in half. Charlotte reminds me of Melina in that way. I mean, she's far better technical wrestler, but Melina, people used to do submission moves to Melina where they were making her foot touch her own head and shit. And Charlotte is very similar in that regard. Both girls exchange kicks and forearms for a while. Figure 4 headlock by Paige, which I love, which is bringing in a little bit of the NXT mentality. You watch a lot of NXT matches, and somewhere in the match, there's an element of anything you can do, I can do better. Not only did Charlotte use the figure 4 headlock on her earlier in the match, but the figure 4 leg lock is one of her signature maneuvers. So it's kind of a, I can one-up you, and by the way, fuck you, at the same time, which is great. Vertical suplex into the ropes by Paige. Every time she vertical suplexes Charlotte, not only is Charlotte's body hitting the ground, or the mat, I should say, but her legs are striking up against the tight ring ropes, which is working on the legs. Paige works on the legs in the ropes, wrapping them up, pulling them, twisting them, and all that sort of thing. Exchanges of slaps and a super kick from from Paige to Charlotte while Charlotte is on her knees. Paige DDTs the leg. I remember a couple years ago asking why people do this, because it kind of looks funny, but if you look at it, you DDT somebody's leg, not only are you pulling straight up on their leg to pull it down again, but you're impacting the entire hip, knee, ankle area. It's more impressive than it looks, because it looks kind of silly. It does. And I'll admit that, but the more I've thought about it, the more I think it's a pretty damn good move. Vertical suplex into the ropes again by Paige, once again working the legs in the ropes. Mounted punches and headbutts by Paige. An insane modified single leg crab, because she's got her hooked in the single leg crab, but with her other arm, she's also reached back and hooked the head. So she's almost turning it into a modified seahorse, but not quite. But as I say before, Charlotte is Gumby pretty much. Both women boot each other in the face, sort of a double knockout spot as we go to commercial break. Both girls exchange mounted punches. You know, one girl mounted on top, punch, 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 roll over. The other one does the same thing. 3 chop knockdown by Charlotte, a headlock and a grapevine by Charlotte. Charlotte spears Paige through the ropes, and the match ends in a double countout. Now, long match, great psychology on both of the girls' parts. I normally would hate it ending in a double countout, but I would rather have a solidified victory at a pay-per-view rather than randomly on Raw, so that's fine. Spear on the outside by Charlotte, but Paige recovers, tosses Charlotte into the ropes, and then locks in the PTO on the announce table. Once again, like when she did it to Becky. It's an impressive looking thing because she's using the announce desk almost like a pedestal, sort of showing the world, look what I've done. But they're not the person in the PTO because they're completely off the ground. They're not in contact with the ground at all. They're not touching the announce table at all. So there's nothing about this. There's nothing about it being on the table that makes it more painful because it's in the air. It's a suspended type maneuver. So I don't know why Michael Cole says, oh, no, not on the table. Now, if we see at TLC, which is what I'm predicting we're going to see this match at next, if we see it in some sort of no disqualification scenario and Paige hits the Rampage on the announce table, I will be on cloud fucking 9 because that should end the match. But great outing by both girls. It did what it was supposed to do. It kept them kind of even because Charlotte doesn't really Paige kind of stole Charlotte's victory last night by pointing out her cheating. So she didn't really get a clean win, so Paige didn't really lose. So they're even. They tied it up tonight with a double countout. They're even. They go into the pay-per-view even, and they fucking destroy each other at TLC. We saw Ryback beat up Heath Slater for reasons. I guess to remind us that Heath Slater still has a job, which is nice. Again, it's one of those, 4 reasons. Then we had Ambrose and Ziggler versus Owens and Breeze, which was a better match than I thought. It sounds random. It sounded random to me. I kind of reacted kind of funny to it. But Ziggler and Breeze have a collar and elbow tie-up to start. Breeze works on Dolph's arm. Owens tags in and mauls Ziggler. Ziggler and Ambrose double-team Breeze for a while. Shower of elbows by Ziggler on Breeze. Super kick by Breeze and stomps by Owens, both on Ziggler. Clothesline and a senton by Owens. Mudhole stomp by Breeze. Headlock by Owens. Great drop kick by Ziggler, as it always is. Hot tag to Ambrose, who clotheslines and tosses out Breeze and hits him with a suicide dive. Swinging neckbreaker on Breeze by Ambrose. Missile drop kick by Ambrose on Breeze. Tackle by Owens. A super kick by Ziggler. Owens takes the time to grab Ziggler and just beat the living shit out of him up against the guardrail on the outside, not giving a shit about Tyler Breeze getting the dirty deeds on the inside of the ring for the win for the baby faces. Owens just sits there like this and watches the pin happen. It's one of those, lone wolf, I don't give a fuck type things, which is great. Ziggler and Breeze is obviously keeping on going, and Ambrose versus Owens is, I hope, going to be for the Intercontinental Championship next time I see them face off. Rusev, with Sheamus in his corner, versus Roman Reigns, was a boring, slow, sluggish match with no charisma to it at all. Honestly, these guys don't have any chemistry. I saw them square off for a little bit in the Royal Rumble a couple years ago, and I thought they'd be a good match, and they're just not. Like I say, it's slow, it's sluggish, it's very awkward, is the word I'm looking for. Sheamus gets ejected after interfering a bunch of times, but Roman Reigns wins by disqualification when Wade Barrett gets involved and hits him with a bullhammer. Roman Reigns wins by disqualification, I think. I don't even care. Then he, gets all of his heat back by destroying all 3 of the heels with chairs. Leading up to their TLC match, obviously, he'll probably attack them with ladders next week and put them through a table the next week and do all that symbolism that WWE likes to do. I do like this idea that even though Sheamus is Triple H's guy, being the champion, being the tournament and all that, that group, that Sheamus, Wade, Rusev group are still a collective unit, and if that entire unit is Triple H's sort of new authority army, that might not be horrible, is what I'll say. Not a main event to write home about. But what I will say, and you guys, I get accused of being eternally positive and all that sort of thing. We all hear the naysayers and whatnot that say WWE doesn't have any storylines, they don't know what they're doing week to week. Right. Now let me point something out to you though. I just put a few names together. right now, because of injuries, etc., and other things, we don't have Bryan. We don't have Cena. We don't have Orton. We just lost Cesaro. We barely just got Rusev back. We don't have the Bella Twins. Those are all, you know, anytime anybody says, oh, it's typical same old shit, you know, Cena, the Bellas, Randy Orton, da-da-da-da, same old shit. Now, people are still claiming same old shit when none of those people are around. With none of those people around, we still, potentially, already have a full card for TLC. We have one match announced. No, nobody's going to care about the world title match at TLC between Sheamus and Roman Reigns. I'm not going to care. I'm not going to try and get you to care. What I will say is WWE put themselves in a corner by not having Rollins, by having Sheamus with a Money in the Bank briefcase that nobody wanted him to cash in, and this match was going to happen eventually. Now, here's my thing. Everybody sort of gives up on the It's again, the cliche YWC rulebook thing to do. Well, we're not going to bother watching in December or November or whatever, even though you do. You just do. But people pretend that they don't because it's the throwaway time of the year. Now, TLC has potential most years to be one of the most throwaway pay-per-views of the year. I mean, there's been some surprises, obviously, back in the Bryan and Punk and all those days that are long past us. So my question to you is, these guys are going to face off. It's going to be for the title. Would you rather it be at TLC, which is like a C-rate throwaway pay-per-view, or would you rather this match happen later in the WrestleMania season next year? Let's get it out of the way. Let's get Sheamus having the briefcase out of the way. Let's get Sheamus screwing Roman Reigns out of the way. Let's let them, Roman Reigns getting what he's supposed to get out of the way. And you want to do it in a clusterfuck match like a TLC, why the fuck not? I mean, they're not the most technical wrestlers, either one of them, but they can fight, they can brawl, they can throw punches, and that's what a TLC match is. You're not going to get TLC matches the way the original ones were. Hardy's, Dudley's, Edge and Christian. You're just not. You're just not. Edge and Christian are retired. Hardy Boys are still in TNA for now. And the Dudleys are facing the Wyatts, it looks like. So, it's not going to be that. So, no. Is it going to be great? Absolutely not. It's not. But it's something we need to get out of the way. And I'd rather they do it now. Does that make sense? Paige versus Charlotte is going to happen again. If their match at TLC is anything like the match they had tonight. The match they had tonight was better than Survivor Series, and I know that's another bone of contention, another thing people want to bitch about. But you have your confrontation at the pay-per-view, and then you build. You need to start building the night after a pay-per-view to the next pay-per-view. So this match on Raw tonight being better than the one at the pay-per-view, not necessarily a bad thing. Ambrose versus Owens are going to stay paired off, which is great. Ambrose didn't get the world title, but he did beat Owens to get to the finals, which means, per se, through WWE logic, he is the number one contender for the Intercontinental Championship. So that should happen. Alberto Del Rio versus Swagger. I've told you that before. It's a match that not a lot of people give a shit about. Swagger hasn't been around or relevant in a while, but they all have story. He has story with Zeb Coulter. He has story with Alberto Del Rio. He has story with this sort of nationalistic storyline. They have history fighting over that belt. It sort of can't not happen if they're bringing him back. It's the most logical thing that there is. New Day, with their open challenge and with who answered it and whatever, I'm pretty sure is going to be in a three-way with the Usos and the Lucha Dragons, which nobody can complain about. Ziggler and Tyler Breeze are going to continue their feud, and with the return of Goldust, you're going to have Goldust and Stardust, if not now going into the WrestleMania season. So, in one night of WWE having no storyline, we've got a TLC card. I wish I was more awake. I wish I could articulate the things that I'm saying better than I am. And this is a really shitty, very tired Raw review. But I like Survivor Series. I like the things we got coming out of Survivor Series. And this Raw was better than I'm sure 99% of the YWC will admit. You got 2 more days to get your questions in for this month's Ask the Phoenix. You guys know, next Monday is the last review on this channel for the year. I'm taking December off. I'm going to come back to preview TLC with whoever wants to join me, but other than that, I'm not going to see you guys until next year. So, your last questions for the year are going to go on to the November Q&A. You got 2 more days. I'm going to be doing it Wednesday night. Please add them if you haven't. What do you think of Raw? I've been Spaz, your YWC reality check. Subscribe up there, talk down there, start a conversation, keep all these conversations going. Don't be a stranger. I'll talk to each and every last one of you later. But for right now, I'm going to sleep, so I'm tagging out. Bye.